In anticipation of the forthcoming Call of Duty Black Ops 4, it's a great time to track the dark trajectory of the Black Ops timeline. Starting with its introduction in Call of Duty World at War, we'll track the history of the Black Ops timeline and set the stage for what we can expect in the newest title in the series. Hi, I'm Alpha Lance with Leaderboard, and this is the Call of Duty timeline World at War to Black Ops 3. It's hard to believe that it's been a decade and a half since the first entry in the Call of Duty series revolutionized gaming in its exciting take on the World War II shooter. Back in 2003, the original Call of Duty was heralded as one of the best, if not the best, World War II themed shooter of the time. But because it's tough to make a completely original series out of only World War II war stories, it's only natural that the series tested uncharted waters with a darker, more experimental storyline. The result? Black Ops. Call of Duty World at War 1942 to 1945. Before we jump into the Black Ops series, it's important to know how Black Ops has its roots in Call of Duty World at War. World at War was a highly regarded title, and it managed to cultivate a rabid fan base because of its storytelling, not to mention its badass Nazi zombie mode, because who doesn't love shooting Nazi zombies? World at War serves as an homage to our nation's veterans, purporting to portray an honest look at the realities of the front lines during World War II, aside from the zombies, of course. In the deadliest conflict in world history, there may have been victories, but there were no happy endings. World at War starts on August 17, 1942, following Private C. Miller as he fights for an Allied victory in Japan. In a concurrent but completely separate storyline launching exactly 1 month later, we also follow Red Army soldier Dmitry Pentriko, who cheats death several times under the watchful guidance of Sergeant Victor Reznnov. As far as the Black Ops series is concerned, the key storyline here is that of Dmitry Pentriko and Victor Reznnov. Reznnov is hell-bent on defeating the Nazis and celebrating victory. Throughout the campaign, you feel his Russian national pride. However, the game's historical realism also forces you to bear witness to flawed individuals whose heroism is tainted with the true costs of war. Reznnov will stop at nothing, even going so far as to slaughter enemies attempting surrender. On the other hand, we sense Petrenko may have some reservations when it comes to participating in all-out carnage at all costs. The Russians succeed in taking over in Berlin in 1945, and a particularly poignant scene shows Pentriko planting the flag of Russia in place of the Nazi flag. If you haven't opened a history book in a while, you may not remember the events of World War II set the stages for the Cold War. While it wasn't immediately obvious that World at War story was set up for a spin-off, it actually set the stage for the entirety of the Black Ops series. As a brief aside, World of War is the first Call of Duty game in which we saw a zombies mode, originally called Nazi Zombies. The mode was so popular that zombie mode has become a staple of the Black Ops series ever since. There's no real connection to the main story, so we won't be discussing it in the timeline, but we just wanted to give a quick nod to the humble origins of the ever-celebrated zombie mode. Call of Duty Black Ops, 1961 to 1968. Zombies aside, World at War's Reznnov would become an integral part of the Call of Duty Black Ops story. Unlike World at War, the Black Ops series proper brings us deep into an alternate telling of history, exploring darker themes like government conspiracies, espionage, biochemical weaponry, and war games. The Black Ops storyline introduces us to Alex Mason, who is part of a CIA assassin team, that job we all wanted to put down on our resumes back in high school. When we meet him, he's being interrogated for his role in a series of events that went down during the Cold War starting on February 23, 1968. Once he comes to, the first thing he wants to know about is where is Reznnov. Not Gary Reznnov, not Bartholomew Reznnov, no. He's talking about our favorite Russian nationalist, the one and only Victor Reznnov. This is especially intriguing given that in the context of the Cold War, CIA agents weren't exactly besties with the Communist Party of Russia. The anonymous interrogator continues to press Mason. We learn Mason was set up by the Russian leader named Nikita Dragovich. After Dragovich captured him in Cuba during the Bay of Pigs on April 17, 1961, Mason ended up in Vorkuta, a Russian labor camp. That's where he met Reznnov. Reznnov befriends Mason and helps him escape, and upon Mason's return to the US in October 1963, he's assigned to work with Jason Hudson and sits down with President John F. Kennedy, who personally gives him the assignment to take down Dragovich. In his mission to take down Dragovich, Mason joins forces with Frank Woods and several others. By 1968, the team is headed to Vietnam to continue the search for Dragovich. It's here that Mason and Reznnov cross paths again. Reznnov is believed to be a Russian defector, defector. He shares information about the Kremlin and its aim to access and leverage Nova 6, a dangerous biochemical weapon developed by a Nazi scientist named Steiner. Flashing back to 1945, Reznnov shares how Dragovich and his cronies watched on as they tested Nova 6 on a war hero named Dmitry Pentriko. Yes, that Dmitry Pentriko, our war hero from World at War. Never a man to show mercy, Reznnov will stop at nothing to see Dragovich and his team of leaders, including Lev Trevchenko, dead. In a scuffle soon after, Trevchenko and Woods are both considered killed in action. It soon becomes clear that Dragovich is planning to activate a series of sleeper agents to disperse the Nova 6 in the West. With only 36 hours until the activation, the interrogator believes that information held in a numbered code is the only thing that can stop it. Mason and Reznnov both track down Steiner, who the CIA demands to be returned alive as he is considered the only person who knows how to stop the sleeper agents. Instead, a bitter and angry Reznnov throws Steiner out of a window, taking both of them down to their doomed fate while Mason watches. But Mason's story crumbles when the interrogator, whose name we learn is Jason Hudson, shares that he watched how it all actually went down. Mason was actually the one who killed Steiner in defiance of CIA orders. Reznnov has been dead for 5 years. It must have just slipped his mind. I mean, happens all the time, right? Cut Mason some slack. People tend to forget a lot of things when they've been brainwashed. In 1962, Dragovich brainwashed Mason to act as a sleeper agent. However, after the treatment, Mason's activities were unreliable at best, so he was returned to a cell and deemed useless. But Reznnov, who had his own agenda, managed to override Mason's mental programming with the commands of his own, namely that Steiner, Dragovich, and Kravchenko had to die at all costs. He's resourceful, that Reznnov. Around this time, Mason realizes that he can decipher the code and shares that he believes the directive is going to be sent from a Russian ship located in Cuba. In a final moment of victory, the team stops the activation of the sleeper agents on February 26, 1968. Mason and Reznov's voices in his head have their revenge as Mason chokes Dragovich. Drowns Dragovich? Whichever came first. I didn't read the autopsy report. However, in a twist, Mason accuses Dragovich of brainwashing him into trying to kill the president. Dragovich snidely replies, "Tried? Sounds ominous, but hey, it's 1968. Lyndon B. Johnson was never assassinated, so Dragovich's plan failed, right?" Oh, that president. I guess Mason forgot about more than he thought over the last 5 years. Call of Duty Black Ops 2, 1986 and 2025. Call of Duty Black Ops 2 tells its story with dual timelines jumping back and forth between the 1980s and 2025. So this part of our timeline video will do the same. Bear with us. Unlike its precursor, Black Ops 2 lets players make in-game choices that affect the trajectory of the story. An opening set in 2025 introduces Raul Menendez. A flashback to 1986 shows our Black Ops hero Mason getting called for an assignment much to the dismay of his then 7-year-old son David. Woods, Mason's squad mate from Black Ops 1, is missing. Hudson, whom he also met in Black Ops, thinks Mason is the right person to find him, and it's time to get the band back together. Turns out that Woods was captured by Raul Menendez, a troubled and power-hungry terrorist. Woods escapes, but months later, a raid on Menendez's home in Nicaragua goes wrong, and Woods accidentally kills Menendez's sister with a grenade intended for the terrorist mastermind. On December 20th, 1989, Mason and Woods are dispatched to Panama to secure an individual that could lead to Menendez. Unfortunately, the whole thing was a setup orchestrated by Menendez. Woods ends up shooting and killing Mason, who was disguised as Menendez. Jeez, Woods, that itchy trigger finger has gotten you into a lot of trouble, hasn't it? And not just him, Menendez ends up capturing Woods, Hudson, and David Mason, Alex Mason's son. The only way they make it out of there is by Hudson sacrificing himself so that David and Woods can escape with their tails between their legs. Menendez wins the day. By 2014, Menendez has garnered more political power under the alias Ulysses. He founded the Corpus D group in June of 2014, promising financial and social equality for the lower class and appealing to the deep-seated anti-American sentiment. What's a good villain without a self-righteous pseudonym? Corpus D becomes so popular that the movement's followers coordinate through social media and start riots. Corpus D grows more and more militant. Things finally come to a head on June 19, 2021. Corpus D cyber terrorists launch a large-scale attack on China's stock market, causing global economic collapse. Ulysses releases a video blaming the United States for the cyber attack, and so the world is thrown into a second Cold War. Jumping forward to 2025, Mason's son David, aka Section, visits Woods in an attempt to find out what happened to his father. When Woods fesses up about what happened, Mason takes up arms against Corpus D and Menendez. After infiltrating a Cortis D stronghold, Mason learns of an even larger Cortis D cyber attack effort on the horizon. On June 19th, 2025, Cortis D seizes control of a drone fleet and attacks the G20 summit in Los Angeles. But crime doesn't pay Menendez. On the same day, U.S. Special Forces kill Menendez while he attempts to escape the Cortis D facility disguised as a U.S. soldier. Come on, Menendez. That disguise trick could only work for so long. Call of Duty Black Ops 3 2065. Black Ops 3 brings us forward in time yet again to 2065. Here we won't encounter the characters we've seen in previous games in the series, but their historical influence is clear. It's less a proper sequel and more a game that takes place in the same universe. Black Ops 3 feels similar in tone to its precursors despite taking place in an epic futuristic society. Technological advances have led to a world influenced by factors such as climate change, income disparity, and the types of technological innovation that can be dangerous if put in the wrong hands. So basically, that documentary series, Black Mirror. The aftermath of the Cortis D uprising shows a world where nations have taken extensive measures to prevent air combat. Known only as Player, you find yourself with an arm ripped off only to be saved by John Taylor and his crew. Waking up in a simulation, you learn that your limbs have been replaced with robotic versions, and that you've been implanted with something called a direct neural interface, or DNI for short. After a number of missions exploring a future in which people, and AI-style robots, are actively leveraging dangerous technology for personal gain, we learn that Taylor has been compromised. But Taylor's not the only one. This leads to the discovery that the entire DNI network has been corrupted, because of course it has. The themes that have been prevalent in the earlier Black Ops games hide in plain sight. Mind control, technology innovation, and manipulation. In fact, in the very conclusion of the game, someone asks you your name. Taylor, Player replies in a surprise twist, and I have to say I'm getting dizzy from all these twists. In the end, it's not explicitly what happened, but we can surmise that in the same manner that the Russians infiltrated Mason's brain so many years before, similar technology has implemented Player on a larger scale. Black Ops 3 also elaborates on the idea of choice put forth in Black Ops 2, with new areas to explore and repeat playthroughs. So where does the story of Black Ops 4 fit into the mix? Well, as I'm sure plenty of the comments will tell us, the game entirely ditches the campaign mode in favor of a multiplayer mode with a battle royale mode called Blackout. So yeah, we know that Black Ops 4 brings us back to what's only known as the near future. So that's not to say that the series though can't continue to dig deeper into the universe it's already created. It'll just do it in some different storytelling methods. We might be able to expect story clues written within the environment, as this emphasis on your surroundings has become more and more prevalent in Call of Duty Black Ops series over the time. At this point, it seems as though the zombies are omnipresent in the new Black Ops reality, and while we've loved the zombie content to date, it'll be interesting to see if there will finally be a crossover between the zombie story and the established campaign setting and canon of Black Ops. Call of Duty has managed to pack a lot into a series. Through the good and the bad, we can respect that the game makers have always been willing to experiment and take chances with the campaign story, from realistic depictions of World War II to futuristic alternate realities to no campaign at all. One thing is clear, there's gonna be guns, the kind that shoot bullets. Thanks for watching. Once again, my name is Alpha Lance, and thank you for watching Call of Duty Timeline for Black Ops. If you want to hear more about Call of Duty, be sure to like and subscribe to the Leaderboard, your home for video game facts.